are back! Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend, brilliant.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Chad Townsend Show. We are back, and we are excited to let you guys know that we are going to be here Monday, 6 p.m. on YouTube every single week this NRL season. We are really excited, and today is our first episode. So we've got a lot of things to talk about today, but before we get stuck into today's episode, I want to introduce to you guys our producer of the show for this season, Victor. Let's bring him in. Victor,
how we doing, boys?
Here he is.
How we good?
Mate, I want to let the people know. I want to give the people an intro on you. I know Victor's doing a bit of work with us here at the Players Golf Club as well. He's going to be a producer, but tell us a bit about you, Victor. Who do you support? I think it's important that we let the fans know who you support as well. So maybe just let them know that.
We're a Sharks fan over here, Chatty. We're in the Shire, God's country. It would be rude to not support anyone but the Sharks, and I'm really excited for the season ahead.
Beautiful, mate. All right. Well, without further ado, let's have a look at what's on today's show. So we're going to react to some of the biggest moments from this past weekend. We're going to have a look at what's trending in the NRL right now with some rules and things like that. We're going to have a look at another segment, the Big Footy Guy of the Week, where we're going to break down three guys' performances from this past weekend. We're going to have a look at what they did really well, some of their stats as well, which will be interesting. Also, we're going to have a look at Vegas. Obviously, it's year 2 of the NRL in Las Vegas. Some huge games this weekend over in Nevada, and I'm actually a little bit jealous. I would love to get over there one year, but I thought the NRL did such a good job last year, and it seems like this year the momentum is continuing to roll. So we're going to have a look at some of the keys to victory for both of those matches. Obviously, we've got the Panthers versus the Sharks, and we've got the Warriors versus the Raiders, as well as, I know there's some other games as well, but we'll have a look at those two big matches over there. And we're also going to, another segment, Halfback House, and this is where we're going to take a look at one of the Halfbacks games throughout the weekend, have a look at their game, their situation, how they played, how they think, how they feel, and we're excited to get into that for this season. And then lastly, we are going to end our show with some fan questions. Now, this is an out call to you guys. We want you guys to be involved in this show as much as possible. So we want to create this little community where you guys can be involved. Send your questions into the show. Now, how you have to do that is just drop your comments below on YouTube. That's where we're going to sift through all the questions, all the comments, and we'll get the best ones and we'll answer them here on the show. So make sure you do that now or whenever you can throughout the episode. So I guess without further ado, Victor, let us know, what are we doing first? What are we looking at?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about probably the biggest upset, in my opinion, of this week. Biggest surprise, really, the Titans game. They looked really good this week. Previously getting dusted by the Broncos 50-12.
Yep.
But this week against the Dolphins, they came back looking really good. AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell, Keanu Kenny, 3 fullbacks in the spine. What was your take on that for this week?
Yeah, look, I watched this whole game. I was really impressed with the Titans and their turnaround. Obviously, previously getting dusted by the Broncos, I think it was 50-12 the week before. And I really enjoyed watching these 3 fullbacks in the spine. I think Campbell was playing halfback, Brimson was playing 5'8", and Kinney was playing fullback. Now, these guys are all pretty much fullbacks. So to me, having that ability for them to sort of merge in together and play together, I thought they looked absolutely dangerous. It was like any part of the field, they could come up with absolute magic. So there was one occasion where Jaden Campbell got kick pressured on last tackle. He stepped the kick pressure, got through the line, summed up the situation, put a nice little grubber in, and then Brimson came through and just scooped it up and scored. So to me, I know they're all fullbacks, and I guess the sort of game management of the game, in the high pressure scenarios and the discipline to sort of kick to corners, I think may not come natural to them just because they're so ad-lib, X-Factor style players. But if they can kind of learn that, I feel that, they could be in for a very big season.
Yeah, and obviously like Kieran Foran being probably one of the most experienced halfbacks in the game at the moment.
Yep.
They're going to have a lot to learn off him as well. Hey, what do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think Foz, he's done a bicep injury, unfortunately, coming out of the weekend, and I'm not sure how long that will put him out for, but I think it's like 3 to 4 months. So he'll still be invaluable to them. To me, I see Foz as like probably he's probably coaching them up at training, you know what I mean? And would have been a very handy number 14 for them this year, at the start of the year for sure. Just, when he's able to get on the field to be that guy who keeps these guys accountable to the game plan. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm hearing, I heard Jaden Campbell on the weekend say that he's working hard with Des Hasler. I think it was Michael Monaghan, one of their coaches, and obviously Foz as well. And they're all three, halfbacks. Des is an old halfback himself. So you think that these three guys, these three X-factor players, they now have, the likes of Des Hasler, Michael Monaghan, and Kieran Foran to kind of mentor them and help them grow and build as a spine connection. I thought it was really, really positive signs for the Titans to bounce back the way they did on the weekend, Victor. I thought it was impressive.
Yeah, they have a really crazy young spine as well, and it's going to be interesting to see how they go this season. I think they're looking very dangerous, I reckon.
Yeah, well, like, I saw, like I said, I watched the whole game, and Cooper Cromp, he said, this was a quote from Cooper Cromp throughout the coverage, he said, if it sticks this year, it'll be hard to stop. And I definitely agree because, if it sticks, I think Coops means the fact that, this X-factor style of play, it doesn't always stick. Obviously, the high percentage plays are probably more consistent over the term, over the long run, but then just finding that balance. Like, you want these guys to express themselves, their personalities, who they are, and their skills, but also, there are certain stages throughout the games where you need to, play the high percentage play, kick to the corner, or run the ball on last, or whatever it may be, those decisions. But I think if these guys can get that balance right, they're going to be, extremely dangerous.
Yeah, they're looking really good. Very exciting stuff. All right, well, next up, let's talk about a couple of the rule changes in the NRL, how you feel about them. There's been a couple. We'll start off with the play to ball. What have you, experiencing it? What have you seen? It change the game? How does it affect the game? What do you see for it this season?
Yeah, look, it's usually every year the NRL brings some rule changes this time of year, and it always seems to be it's focused for the first 8 weeks of the year, then it kind of drops off. That's usually the trend of what happens. This year it's the play the ball, and at the moment it seems like they're coming down really, really hard, obviously, in all the trials, and I think the definition of it is you need to make a genuine attempt with your foot to play the ball. We've been practicing a lot of play the balls at training, to be honest. You don't want to be that guy who gives away possession, when you have the ball for an incorrect play the ball. So it's not my favorite thing to be able to spend time and energy on. For all the amazing things that happen post play the ball, and skill and try scoring and set play, for that to be kind of potentially taken away because of a play the ball, to me is like, do the fans really, do we really care about it? Probably not. But if they make a rule change, I guess you have to kind of take it seriously because you don't want to be that guy, like I said. So not a massive fan of it because I really feel like if you're watching the game, it doesn't change the product at all. At all, if you made a genuine attempt or you didn't, it would not change the product. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think it also makes it really hard for the refs because it puts them in a bit of it's like a grey area kind of rule, and it's going to put them in a lot of controversy this season, especially at the start. Which, the refs don't need more pressure than they really have.
They do. And then and I feel for the refs a lot of the time at this, when these rule changes come in, because they're getting directives from above. They're being told, what to focus on and what to sort of, put more emphasis on, with these rules. So it is definitely a grey area, I feel, because, classifying what is a genuine attempt and what is not is, I mean, for one ref, it might be different than the other. You know what I mean? So I guess only time will tell how this sort of plays out with the play of the ball. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan of it. I am taking it seriously because I have to, and we have to as players. But yeah, not a massive fan. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting how that plays out. The obstruction rule, they're leaning a bit more to a benefit of the doubt to the attacker. What have you kind of taken from that?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and I don't think publicly it's been spoken about too much, the obstruction rule, but we got a brief as players about the obstruction rule. Now, the obstruction rule has been kind of, I guess, urged more to the defensive side. Now, this is kind of designed so players don't take dives. And, sometimes we see lead runners going through, players getting hit and diving. I mean, if you run a lead on an outside shoulder, we all know that that's an obstruction. But there are some times where players make decisions to come in. They might get knocked over. They might take a dive or whatever. Tries have been taken off, and we're like, what's actually happening? So we got showed a number of examples from last season of tries that were called no tries that would now be called tries. And I just remember watching some of these tries thinking that I thought they were tries in the first place, but because of the last year's rules, they made them as no tries. So for me, I really like it. I think it's common sense. There are some times where players do get in the way who've run great lines, but also it's the decision of the defenders to either come in or, take a dive or whatever. That's, obviously what we don't want to see. So keep an eye on that if you're watching the games, obviously, throughout the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, should be interesting to see. We have some big names, big movements this season. Just to name a couple: Luai, Gutho, AFB, Fisher Harris, Lomax, Terrell May, Val, and Ben Hunt, all moving across. What do you see that changing the landscape of the NRL this season, the ladder?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting one. I think for me, I don't think I've seen as many big names change clubs for a long time. I think that there's obviously a number of reasons because of this happening. Obviously, guys getting big offers, big contracts elsewhere, the salary cap. Obviously, Fisher Harris, obviously there's family reasons as well, but obviously Luai, gets offered a lucrative deal to leave. That's obviously salary cap based. There's been taps on the shoulders, people told they're not wanted to leave, people asking for releases. But obviously those guys that you just mentioned, Victor, are absolutely, some of the biggest names in our competition. So I think, when you do move clubs, it's obviously very, very exciting. It does take a little bit of time to adapt, I guess, with the new surroundings, new environment, new culture, obviously new coaches, but also it really just refreshes you as a player to change teams. The different aspect of style of coaching, I think, is a big one. But also you want to be, I guess, buying into the team culture and also, where you're kind of living. If you've moved, states or whatever it is, there's a lot to take in. But, like I said, this is probably some of the biggest names and the most, biggest names I've seen change clubs for a number of years. So please, so keep an eye out on some of these guys because will be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. Just like looking over the weekend, the Dragons, over the past 2 weeks, they're looking really good.
Yeah.
Val, Cookie, Gutho coming in, some senior players. I'm like, Flano's doing a bit of his work, hey? Like,
yeah,
I can see kind of glimpses of that 2016 Sharks squad. You know what I mean? Like a couple of senior players.
Just calm it down a little bit, Victor. Just calm it down a bit after
get
2
a
trial
little
games.
bit excited, I reckon.
They've been in
there. Tell you what.
That's the Sharks fan. Just calm down a little bit, Victor. Hey,
I'll tell you, I'm excited if I'm a Dragons
I did
fan.
say to Val that I was recording the episode today. I said I'd give him a bit of a rap. Even though it is trials, he's obviously come out and shown that he's a star player for the Dragons, even though he has changed clubs, obviously a new environment, and by all reports he's really enjoying linking back up with Flano. And obviously, these names that have moved teams, obviously Gutho and Val Holmes, and you also, we chuck in Damien Cook there as well, 3 veteran players. We heard, Shane Flanagan say he needed a bit of experience, and these guys, bring that experience, bring that hard edge, bring that, class to the Dragons, which, will be an interesting one. Obviously had a very successful trial period, played really well on the weekend against South Sydney. So, those news guys will definitely, add to that team.
Exciting stuff.
You just calm it down a little bit, right?
Moving on. Big footy guy of the week. This is our segment where we name 3 of who we think were the best players of the week.
Yep.
We're going to choose one, and you want to tell the people what the prize is for this little segment.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick our 3 big footy guys of the week, and just based off some performances that we think were really good from the weekend. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a post up on our Instagram, and then we're going to give you guys the chance to vote on the post for your big footy guy of the week. And if you vote, comment on the post, you will go in the draw to win a $50 Players Golf Club voucher every single week. We are, thanks to playersgolfclub.com.au, we are going to get you guys involved. And all you need to do is literally click a button, drop us a comment, and you're in the chance to win it. So we'll be starting off big footy guy of the week. Nominee number 1, Victor.
Isaiah Iongi from Parramatta Eels. Replacing Gutho.
Yep.
It's a big shoes to fill, but he's been looking good in trials. 1 try assist, 7 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 1 line break assist. What did you take from his performance on the weekend?
Yeah, look, I think he's class. I really liked this kid. I think, obviously, looking from the outside in, like the shoes to replace Gutho are quite big. Like Gutho is, to me, he was that Parramatta team. He was the heartbeat of the team. He was the captain. He was the leader. He was everywhere on the field. He was all effort every single week. He was playing busted. And, you lose someone like that, it's going to leave a little bit of a hole. But this kid comes in. Some of his touches with the ball, his passing game, his footwork are really, really, really exciting to watch. I think Parramatta Eels fans have really hit the jackpot here. I think this kid has what it takes to fill those shoes. And I know he'll probably need some time. Obviously, with Parramatta, they've just changed coach. Mitch Moses is now captain. They've added a number of new players, Zach Lomax, Jack Williams as well. Look, I really like this kid, Isaiah Ongi, and it's another kid from Penrith who, Penrith lose obviously with regards to the salary cap and getting a bigger, better deal from Parramatta. But this kid, I think he started off really well, and I think he'll go on to have a good season at Parramatta.
It's the Penrith system, eh? They just keep dropping.
They do. I don't know what's in the water out there, the foot of the mountains. This water's just coming off the mountains into Penrith, the foot of the mountains. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it just goes to show, mate. They've done a tremendous job, and good on Parramatta for actually identifying him and actually picking him up and giving him the chance to replace Gutho, because he's done a great job.
Yeah, for sure. Next person, Sione Fainau, Dragons.
Yep.
4 tries, 130 metres in 1 half.
Yeah.
1 half of footy. This kid played New South Wales Cup last season, scored 13 tries in 15 games.
Yeah, look,
kind of his first full year in the NRL this year. How's he?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get the run on that left wing outside Val. Obviously, it seems like they've got a little bit of depth there, the Dragons, in the outside backs, Ravalawa and Christian Tuipulotu as well. But Fainau, and I hadn't heard too much about Fainau until I kind of played against him in the trial the other week, and then I was did my research obviously for today's episode, and I didn't realise that he'd played 2 NRL games, 1 game in 2023, 1 game in 2024. But this kid looks the goods. He looks fast, he looks fit, and obviously scoring 4 tries in 1 half of football is incredible. So you think he's going to be a lock there on the wing, and obviously playing outside Val Holmes. Val is obviously, he's known for his ability to set up his winger. And obviously, Val had a couple of try assists on the weekend as well. But Finau looks great. 4 tries. He's definitely one of our nominees for Big Footy Guy of the Week. And let's hope he can add to, his NRL game tally this year, because as you mentioned, Victor, 13 tries in 15 games last season in New South Wales Cup is quite impressive. And it looks to me that, he's going to get that opportunity this year.
Yep, 100%. Last player, your man, ex-teammate, Drinky. Had a mad game last night.
Yeah.
2 tries, 1 try assist, 1 line break, and 2 line break assists. He's kind of like the main guy at Cowboys this season. Hey,
he is. He is. I spoke to Drinky as well in our little group chat with him, Val and I. I said to Drinky I was going to talk a little about his game. I watched his game closely last night after ours, and I thought he was at his dynamic best. Drinky is he's the heartbeat, one of the heartbeat players of that Cowboys team. Obviously 2 tries, 1 try assist. If he brings his best this year, I feel like it's Daily M for Drinky. And I know we talk about Dylan Edwards playing fullback for New South Wales, but if Dylan Edwards isn't available for some reason, Drinky's got to be in consideration for that position. I know he spent a little bit of time in camp and learn a lot from that experience. And I know there's a lot of wonderful fullbacks in our competition. It's probably one of the hardest positions to make at rep level. And but Drinky, to me, he looked great yesterday. He looked fast. He looked fit, and that's what you expect from Drinky. He's one of the fittest players in the competition. He's one of the fastest. He's got great great ball handling, great pass selection, and so I'm not surprised by Drinky's trial form. I think he's in for another big season. So make sure you head over to our Instagram. You'll see the post. All you need to do is vote and comment on the post. You'll see all the instructions on the post, basically. At Chad Townsend Show is where you'll see this and where you'll get the chance to jump in and get that voucher. So I really appreciate you guys jumping in and supporting that bit.
All right, next up, Chatty. We're going to talk about Vegas.
Vegas.
2 big games, blockbuster games. Sharks versus Panthers and Warriors versus Raiders. Talk about the Sharks versus Panthers game first.
Yep.
What are your takes for this game?
Yeah, obviously the headline game of Las Vegas this weekend. It's, the reigning premiers versus the Sharks, who have been a top 4 team the last couple of years in a row. Look, I think this is going to be an absolute belter of a game. And to me, it's going to be really, really interesting battle of the forward packs. Obviously, Cronulla have added Adam Fanua-Blake, who was an absolute wrecking ball and one of the probably top 3 front rowers in the game. Last year, Adam Fanua-Blake averaged 175 run meters per game. So you know what you're going to expect from Adam Fanua-Blake. His ability to break tackles, get between defenders is something that I just haven't seen from a big man his size. So I'm really interested to see how he goes. And obviously the Panthers, they've lost James Fisher-Harris to the New Zealand Warriors this season. So who's going to step up for the Panthers in that forward pack? They've added Isaiah Papali'i from the Tigers. So, I'm really interested to see that battle of the forwards. And also, we look across, the spines as well. Nico Hines, Braden Trindle, who had an excellent final series last year against Nathan Cleary. And what looks to be, I think, Blaise Talangi, Victor, who is going to replace the position of Jerome Luai. But also, you've got Brad Snyder there as well as another option. I think Jack Cole as well. So I think we got to keep a close eye for when team lists drop tomorrow night. Will Nathan Cleary be there? Will Blaise Talangi be there? I know he's come off off-season shoulder surgery. But to me, it looks like it's going to be a battle of the forwards.
100%. I think battle of the forwards. I think, as a Sharks fan as well, if we can complete at a higher rate, I think we made a lot of silly errors, especially in that trial against the Raiders. In the first half, you saw a lot of roll ball mistakes. and we completed a really low rate. If we can complete above 80%, I think we got a real shot in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think, for people who may not know, obviously you hear about completion rate and possession. Now, these are things that I guess are tracked. Every team does it, and there's stats and markers that you need to kind of have a goal of. So I think when you're talking about a completion rate, obviously you want that, pretty well above an 80% completion rate. So you want to minimize your errors. If you can have less than, if you have less than 10 errors in a game, it's relatively good. If you can control possession for more than 50% of the game. So quite often, you can go on the NRL app and actually look at all the stats from every single game. You can see the possession rate. So, to me, whichever team does control possession, especially in these early rounds, usually go on to win. And those markers of having, 55% possession versus 45. If you have the 55, you have a lot more of the ball. You have a lot more of the energy. You don't make as many tackles, and you're able to put fatigue in the opposition who either haven't tackled well, haven't respected the ball and made errors, and then spent a lot of time defending their try line. So there's some of the things to keep an eye out for this week. But I think the big one is obviously, like I mentioned, around the two forward packs and then the spine. How do the Panthers play this week? It's the first time, not having Jerome Luai on that left edge. And obviously we know Nathan and Jerome had played a lot of football together. But yeah, how do the Panthers play? Is Nathan still on the ball? Is that left edge 5'8" still sitting on the left edge? Is Dylan Edwards still sitting out on the right? Because Penrith have had this system for a long time where, Azayo sort of swings in the middle and plays that link man to Nathan Cleary. And obviously their 5'8" and fullbacks sit on either edges. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'm really keen to see that game. And where the Sharks play a lot of short sides. They play a lot of shot where they'll hit into a 3-4 man and then they'll all swing down the short side. And if they don't like that, they'll swing long and they'll play long. They've got a lot of shifts in them, the Sharks. They move the ball the most out of anyone in the competition with regards to their shifts to their left and right edges. So it's going to be an interesting game. And obviously we've got that little bit of a smaller field, which may add to maybe some less points. I don't know, maybe a little bit less space we might see. But regardless, really, really keen to watch this game on the weekend.
Who you got?
Who have I got? Okay. I'm going to have to go Panthers this weekend. I mean, how can you go past the reigning premiers?
Wrong answer.
Yeah, I know Victor's going for his beloved Sharks, but I just can't tip against the Panthers. They're a quality outfit, and as we've said before, they just they lose someone, they bring someone in who just has been in the system for years and years and years and comes in and does their job. They're conditioned to the system. The system at Penrith is instilled in them from such a young age. So, I can't go past the Panthers. What do you want to talk about? The keys to victory. Let's have a quick look at the keys to victory. What I had written down just to summarise this match for the weekend was the battle of the 4-pack. I did mention that, but let's just highlight it. It is AFB. Versus the Panthers in the middle. I think if the Panthers can contain Adam Fanua-Blake and get him below that 175 mark, maybe below that 150 mark, I feel like that is going to be a big plus for the Panthers. We touched on that completion and possession, which you spoke about. Have a look at those numbers. Maybe jump on the NRL app after this game, the completion rate, the possession rate, see what those numbers, see where they're at, and see who won the game. Did the team dominate possession? Did they have more percentage? Was their completion rate above 80? And who won and who lost? That's a good marker for how the game went. And the last one was defense. This is a really big one. The team that can defend the best usually win. And these two teams have shown for a long time that they can defend long periods of time against high quality attack. And I think I had written down here keeping the opposition less than 18 points in this game. Just because of the quality of both teams with their attack, I feel like if the Panthers can keep the Sharks to less than 18 points, I think they can score more than 18 points. So I feel like it's going to be a close game, but something around like 24-18. I don't think there's going to be much in it. I think it's going to be a one-score game. They're my keys to victory. So keep an eye out for for those in the what's going to be the headline game this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, I think no matter who the Panthers put up, even if they have injuries, they always have that next man up mentality. Hey, like I think we saw on the weekend versus Manly. Manly had a pretty stacked squad, and Panthers were playing their juniors, and they still kind of ran them off the park.
Well, that's the system, you know what I mean? And these kids, that game, like they're just drilled in the system from I don't know what age they're kind of getting it in. Obviously, it seems to be quite young. But they just run the same system through every single grade. So then these kids get to the top grade, they understand what's required of them as a Panthers player. And that's why they've, had so much success at a junior level and also, at a senior level, because they seem to be doing it better than anyone else at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Next game, Warriors-Raiders. A couple teams that's lost a lot of experience this offseason. They both lost a couple key players in their squads, but a lot of young players coming through. What are your takes for this game?
Yeah, look, this is. I'm really excited this game. I'm really excited to watch the Wars. A lot of experience lost in both teams. The Warriors obviously had the unfortunate retirement of Tohu Harris. Let's give Tohu a quick shout out. What an absolute terrific player Tohu Harris was. Played for a long period of time at a high level. I had the chance to play with Tohu a bit at the start of my career when we were playing in reserve grade together. Randomly, just quickly, the Sharks were connected with the Storm. So we had a half Sharks, half Storm team. I played with Tohu then when I was early 20s. And then obviously had 6 months a couple of years ago with him. And his leadership is tremendous. Not always the biggest talker or the most loudest person, but just the way he goes about his business. Very professional, kept a high standard and a high consistency of his gameplay for a long period of time. So obviously he's going to be a big loss for them. They've obviously lost Adam Fanua-Blake, who we spoke about before at length, moving back to Sydney and signing with the Sharks for 4 years. And obviously SJ, Shawnee Johnson retired last year, which then brings me on to the Warriors, and obviously that halfback role needs to be filled. And at this stage, it looks like it's going to be Luke Metcalf, who I think is an out-and-out superstar. I think this is the absolute best decision to give him the keys to this team. Luke Metcalf is one of the most dynamic ball runners of the game. Hardest workers in the game, works extremely hard on his kicking game. His footwork, his ability to break tackles and break the line is incredible. And I know he's worked hard on that sort of game management style as well to add to his repertoire. So, and then the Raiders, obviously, lose Elliot Whitehead, a bit of experience, who's gone back over to the Super League. And the the Raiders, to me, have a bit of a younger team, and obviously another one they lost is Jordan Rapana. So, yeah, look, a bit of a younger team at the Raiders. I've heard Ricky Stewart talk about they had the plan to develop some players, and it seems like that some of these players are now coming into first grade to reap these rewards of game time. And some exciting young players too. Victor, do you want to let's just highlight some of those players?
100%. Like KO Weeks, Ethan Strange, and Ethan Sanders, who's not probably going to be a bit behind Fogg, but he's going to learn a lot from Fogg. KO Weeks in the trials just looks scintillating. He's so quick.
Oh, definitely. Some of his trial performances were exceptional. His touches, his speed, his brilliance, his ability to just back himself. He looks like he's set for a big year. KO Weeks, Ethan Strange as well, got absolutely dynamic footwork and the ability to break tackles. And then Ethan Sanders as well, which is an interesting one. Obviously, they've still got Fogarty there, who's shown over a long period of time he's a very consistent halfback with a great kicking game and great organisation skills. But Ethan Sanders, has had a relatively good trial period as well. Looks to be sitting behind Fogarty at the moment and just learning and seeing how that sort of plays out. I know Fogarty, I think he's off contract as well. So an interesting kind of situation. We'll see how that unfolds throughout the season. But KO Weeks, to me, it just looks like he's much more confident player at the moment. I feel that, to me, again, like looking from the outside in, it seems as though Ricky Stewart, with obviously Jordan Rapana moving on to Super League, has said KO Weeks, this is your chance. This is your chance to play fullback.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely developed a lot of confidence in that later half of the last season as well, playing 6. I think he had a really good end of last season, and I think he's brought that into the start of this season. You can see it.
Yep, definitely. I just feel that, like, that's all he's probably needed is a coach to say, like, hey, look, I back you. You're our guy. Come in, do your thing, play your natural game. And I think he's done that, especially in the trial period. And now, I'm really interested to see how he goes, obviously in this big game against the Warriors.
Yeah, for sure. About the Warriors a little bit. RTS moving to the wing.
Yep.
Why do you think Webster has done this? Obviously, he played centre last year and he looked really good. First season back in the league. Do you think moving out to the wing is going to make much of an impact for this Warriors team?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting one. I think it's a good call. I think Roger, the way he carries the ball is absolutely dynamic. His footwork, his ability to break tackles. And I just think, to me, it seems as though Andrew Webster wants to utilise that a little bit more with his yardage carries. And, in the centres, you obviously have to probably tackle a little bit more, make a few more defensive decisions and reads. And I think he could potentially be just saving Roger a little bit from that to give him the ability to just go, and break tackles and run the ball and be that guy, from the wing. I don't think we'll see Roger just stick to the wing the whole time. I think he'll probably come infield and roam around wherever he wants to, because that's just the type of player he is. You don't want him hanging on the wing the whole time. Do I think it's a good call? Yeah, I do. I like the move. I think the Warriors are pretty stocked with centers. They've got some really good young centers. Adam Pompey, Rocco Berry have done a relatively good job over the past couple of years. And I just think that wing spot, just adds solidarity to their team. I think with Roger, a real solid edge and just a competitor as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw a little bit of that against the Storm game where he kind of took down the line in his try and stepped in, and we just saw a bit of Roger brilliance. So,
oh man, that step!
It's gonna be exciting.
It reminded me. I've seen that before. I think it was young Failongo who he stepped, all ends up. It just reminded me. I don't know if we can get the clip or the highlight where Roger was playing for the Roosters, and it was against the Storm as well, and he stepped young Tonamapea with like no room to spare, and Young just like grabbed it like thin air, and Roger was just like, wow. Like, it was insane. It was one of the best steps I've ever seen. And that's just what Roger does, you know what I mean? He's got the footwork, he's extremely fit, he's agile. But yeah, like I said, I like the move.
Yeah.
Like the move.
What's going to win this game for either team?
Yeah, look, let's have a look at the keys to victory for this game in Vegas. The Warriors versus the Raiders. Look, I touched on it previously before, but I think Luke Metcalf, he's going to be the key for the Warriors if they are to get over this Raiders team. I think it's his game management. I think it's his kicking game and also his individual brilliance. He's got the ability to break tackles and create line breaks for himself, but it's that game management, that relentless pursuits of kicks to the corner, which Sean Johnson was just so good at for such a long period of time. That right foot kicking down to the Raiders' left edge, their left corner. So keep an eye out for that. Really excited to see how Luke Metcalf goes, in the number 7 jersey. I think he's the man for Warriors fans to really rely on and look forward to for a good year. The next one for me was the Raiders forward pack, and can they match the Warriors forward pack? Look, obviously most games are won kind of in the middle. That battle of the forwards is such a key matchup for nearly every game. But to me, this one, the Raiders forward pack, have still got some really high quality players. Joe Tarpany, Josh Publii, Corey Horsburgh as well, who looks like he's come back off a really decent off season, looks to have himself fit, firing, and ready to go back in first grade. And obviously that Warriors forward pack as well, who's lost Adam Fanua-Blake, but Mitch Barnett, who's obviously been super consistent over the past couple of years since he's been at the Warriors. Look, this is a matchup where I think the game's going to be won a lot, especially the early exchanges of these two guys and how well they can go after. each other. And the third one was KO Weeks. Obviously, we touched on him before as well, with regards to some of his touches and his gameplay so far throughout this season. Looked great in the trials. He's moved to fullback. He looks free. He looks confident, and his speed and his ability to sort of be that X factor and dynamic player for the Raiders looks to be something really interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, exciting. It's gonna be a good 2 games in Vegas. It's come quick, hasn't it?
It has come quick.
Off-season goes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has come quick. Vegas is here. They're going to be huge games. And I guess that'll lead me into my pick for this game. Look, for me, it's hard to go past the Warriors. I think they'll be disappointed with how they played last year. Obviously missing the 8. And I know they had a number of setbacks last year. But to me, I just think they're primed and ready to go. And I think the Warriors will get the win here. What about yourself? Anything to add there?
Yeah, I got the Warriors too.
Yeah.
I think they looked really good.
Yeah.
In trials, and Luke Metcalf, like he said, he's going to lead that team this season. And I think he's got all the qualities to be what they need.
Beautiful.
Yeah, should be good.
Love it.
You want to talk about yesterday?
We may as well briefly touch on yesterday, Roosters versus Knights. And look, obviously disappointing game for us yesterday. Really disappointing. Obviously, we ran into the wind in the first half. We missed the start. We had someone in the sin bin. I shanked a kick. We couldn't get any momentum. Defensively, we were very poor, which was disappointing because considering how much time we spent on it. And obviously, we got a long way to go with regards to combinations and work. It was the first time, obviously, for all of us playing together. Our combinations were definitely off. Which was disappointing. It was a tough one to take. We had a good chat about it yesterday, and the best thing for us is that it was a trial game. We take a lot of learnings out of it this week at training, and there's no doubt we need to be better as a team and individually as well. I just want to touch on this as well. The easy thing for me would be to not talk about the game and not even do this podcast. But for me, I've never shown away or hid away from this type of stuff. I'm always happy to get out there and be accountable, and then just show face. Failure and setbacks and not playing well is a part of this game, unfortunately. And I'm definitely one to say, look, put my hand up yesterday. Definitely didn't have the best game. And that's it. That's the roller coaster of the game that we live in, Victor, unfortunately.
That's footy.
That's footy. It doesn't always go your way, but it gives you another chance to kind of bounce back and be better and learn from it next time. So
yeah, for sure. And I think some positives to take away is that Robert Toa, Mark, I can't pronounce his last name.
Rob Toya and Mark Nawanganitawase. Yeah. Mark had that touch Mark had in the first half was excellent.
Incredible. And I think
great.
They both haven't played rugby league at a high level and haven't got that many minutes under the belt, but they showed glimpses. Like Robert Toya runs so hard, and he's had a great preseason, Rob. Only a young kid, hasn't even made his NRL debut yet. Got a little footy in front of him. You kind of have to just realise that, hey, this kid is still very young, hasn't even played any NRL games, so still kind of learning the game and the process, but looked, really good the way he carried the ball. Obviously, Mark, had that insane cramp in the second half, but, that touch he had to set up Daniel Tupou in the first half was really nice, and we've seen that all preseason, to be honest. So, like I said, not ideal for us yesterday. The best thing is that it was a trial game. Definitely don't want to gloss over that because, we were poor and we have put our hand up. And look, we'll be working really hard at training to make sure that doesn't happen again and we're ready for round 1. Yeah, for sure. We'll talk a bit about the Cowboys now. The battle for the number 7 between Tom Duffy and Jake Clifford.
So this is our halfback house. This is our halfback house segment where every week we're going to talk a little bit about a halfback, their situation, their game, how they're playing at the moment, and stats and etc. That's kind of the idea of it, isn't it?
This week's Tom Duffy.
Yeah. So I get asked this question a lot. Even when I left Townsville, who's going to be halfback and who's, for the Cowboys. obviously playing there for the past 3 years. And, obviously spent a lot of time with Tom Duffy. I thought he was excellent yesterday against the Storm. His kicking game was great. His linking up with Tommy and Drinky I thought was great as well. He spent a lot of time in our system the past couple of years, so he would know, what's expected of him now in the Cowboys. Obviously being, he's not super young. He's 21, so he's mature enough to sort of have the gauge of the game, understand where he's at. And obviously, with Cliff, very unfortunate for Cliff, he had a hernia. I'm not sure how he got it. I did speak to him the other day, and I think he's ready from round 1. So he hasn't played any trial games. His training's been building up, so he's still coming back from injury. That's why we haven't seen Cliffo yet. And obviously came in at the back end of the last year, Cliff, and done a really, really good job. So, look, I don't know what's happening up there at the moment. Obviously, I can only see from the trial games, Duff has come in and done a really good job. From the outside in, it probably looks like he's going to get the nod just because Cliffo has been injured. If he wasn't injured and was playing, it probably would have been, a really interesting battle to see who got that call from the coach. But yeah, Duff's ready. He's done a lot of time. Had a really tremendous year last year in the Queensland Cup. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and he doesn't look afraid at the moment. Watching yesterday, 15 runs for 89 meters. He's running the ball and he looks good.
He wants it. I've known that about Duff. He wants it. He's trained hard. I've trained with him the past couple of years. He wants that position. And like I said, he's put the time in, he's put the work in, and he deserves this opportunity if he gets it round 1. So, Cowboys fans should be really happy with what he's put out in the trial games, and we'll see how he goes. It's another first grade debut, and that's probably the most exciting thing, for any young kid to. I know Duff's a local Townsville boy as well, North Queenslander, so a huge occasion for him. I'll be really stoked for him if he gets there. But obviously, Cliffo's still coming back from injury, so we wish him all the best, and hopefully he can get back to full strength. And we'll see how that plays out.
Next up, we got some fan questions from the YouTube. Drop a comment down below for next week.
Yep.
We'll be looking at all of them ahead.
Yep.
Nacho Fandango asks.
Love that name.
Yeah, what a name. God.
What's doing?
Oh, good. Nacho Fandango 2508.
All right.
Have you thought about doing a QAA video? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Nacho, this is it. The Q&A is here on the podcast. So if you've got a question, like Victor just said, drop it in the comments below on this video. We will be answering the best questions on the podcast here, but also obviously, we can answer them on the phone as well. For the ones that don't make the show. So please, if you've got a comment, if you've got a question or a comment, please drop it here on YouTube. This is where we want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Real Hero asks, if you had to play with any legends of our game, who would it be?
The Real Hero. Love that name. Another good YouTube name. Any legends of the game, who would it be? Well, I'd love to play with Brad Fittler. I'd love to play Brad Fittler 5'8", me at halfback. Also GI at fullback. I feel like that'd be really cool. Probably say those two, to be honest. And then a forward. What's some of the forwards I used to love when I was younger? I used to love, Shane Webke was always a really good front row forward. He was just straight up and down. You knew what you were going to get. Maybe we just leave it as Brad Fittler and GI. Those two are absolute freaks of the game. Let's leave it at those two.
Nice. Love it. Surfing Boys, asks, who is your favorite NRL media presenter, TV or radio?
All right. Surfing Boy. My favorite media presenter, this is an absolute easy one. When I was growing up, I used to love the Footy Show. I loved Fatty Vorton. Fatty Vorton is the absolute GOAT. I got a chance to play golf with Fatty in the off-season, and we were actually going to try and play some golf with Fatty for the Players Golf Club and film it. in the future. Fatty is an awesome fella. He's always got time for me to have a chat. Loves talking about footy, and he's just old school. And I love Fatty. I love Sterlo. Got a lot of time for Sterlo. Just that old school footy show. Thursday night, I was just watching the footy show, 8:30, every single week. Back in the days when they had like Daredevil Dudes, That's Gold. What else did they have? Trent the Flight Steward, Matty Johns, all that old school stuff. Oh, it was just... My mates and I usually send me now like old clips of like old school footy show highlights. So I love that old school footy show vibe. That was me. Loved it.
Maybe that's the next step for the Chad Townsend show.
Maybe we need to bring some of that on here. I don't know, some Daredevil Dudes or whatever. That's gold.
Do some skits.
We'll do some skits. But yeah, that's definitely that's me. And that's it. That brings us to the end of our first show. Our first show is done. Look, I want to say a massive thanks to you guys for watching today's episode. Please make sure if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show here on YouTube. And also you can subscribe anywhere that you get your audio podcast as well. So make sure you rate and review on the audio. Subscribe on the video here on YouTube. Like we said, make sure you drop all your questions below in the comments. And don't forget, you can head over to our Instagram page and for your chance to win a voucher to Players Golf Club. And without anything further ado, Victor, anything to finish our note on today's show, first episode? I thought it was pretty good. I thought, we need to just add something behind you, I think, just visually.
Maybe like a Sharks jersey.
Maybe not. We're definitely not going to do that. But yeah, we're going to put something behind Victor. Just make it look a bit nicer, but really happy with how this background came out. It looks really good. We're really happy. We're going to be here every single week this season in the NRL, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.